So the relationship is over, right? You're quiet, the narc's gone radio silent, and you're moving on with your life. You might still be hurting and healing, feeling all of the feelings, but you're still moving forward. But then it happens. You see them. There they are in the grocery store, in line at the coffee shop, or just walking down the street. In this video, I want to talk about some things that might happen when you see the narcissist out in public, how you can handle it, and the narcissist's reaction to seeing you. When it comes to fearing that you'll run into this person while you're out and about, the easiest thing you can do is try to lower all of that anxiety that you're having about the situation. And doing this can be achieved when you come up with a plan. Sit down and think about possible places that you might see them. Could you go to a different gas station to avoid them? Is there a different gym that's maybe not so out of the way for you? Is it worth it to avoid an encounter? Can you change up some of these places that you're going and some of these things that you're doing? And see how many places you can rule out. See what other places are maybe available for you to go. What this is going to do is allow you to have some control over the situation, and having at least a little bit of control might help some of those feelings that you're having. Anxiety is that fear of not having control, and hopefully you can regain a little by coming up with a plan. Even if there isn't anything that can necessarily be done, just planning and knowing where you might run into them can still help overall. Now, obviously, we don't have control over much. There might be places that you can't avoid or that you can't stop going. They might decide to switch it up themselves and go somewhere that you visit. We'll never know for sure. For those situations where there is no resolution, you can still make a plan. Sitting down and thinking about all of the possibilities that might happen and figuring out what to do in cases like that boosts preparedness a little bit and again can quell some of that anxiety. There's only one of two things you can do when you see them. You can leave the situation or you can stay. That's it. And this is something, again, to think about. You have a huge cart full of groceries. Do you push that shit down the frozen food aisle and just book it? Or do you try to finish up what you're doing and run like the wind? And this is something that I nor no one else can really tell you the answer to that. You know this person better than anybody else, so you have to do what you feel comfortable doing in that moment. But again, have that plan. I might be grocery shopping and be right in the middle of what I'm doing, and I might have to leave. I might have to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z if I see this person, or make a plan of, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to finish up my business and keep it moving. Keep in mind that you're out in public. So 9 times out of 10, a narcissist isn't going to make a scene. They're fairly non-confrontational people. Usually, if they see you, they'll just avoid you like the plague anyway. If you're afraid they might approach you or become confrontational, again, you would know that better than anybody else. You might have to understand that you might need to bail out because they might get confrontational. Again, personal choice that you would know better than anybody else. But in the moments that you can't escape, try to avoid being seen. So you see them. There's no interaction, but the damage has been done because now you've seen them in line or walking up and down the aisles, down the street, whatever. Now you've been triggered. So you're upset and you're sad, pissed off, maybe all of that. Your heart might be racing. You might feel the need to cry. You might start crying. Maybe you've even seen them with the new supply, adding some insult to injury. If you have the luxury in that moment of being able to go home or to a quiet place where you feel safe, obviously do that. Because whatever you're feeling about things is normal. It's okay to be scared, upset, or miss them, or think about how you still love them. Everything that you're experiencing, whatever that may be, and it's probably more than one, is normal. Don't try to run from what you're feeling. Feelings wait. Trust me, we all know that by now. If you have the opportunity to take that time away to pull yourself together in that moment, of course, I highly encourage you to do so. A lot of people begin to ruminate about the whole relationship with this person as soon as you see them. Just the sight of them can bring everything to the forefront of your mind. Now you're obsessing and having intrusive thoughts and wondering about all kinds of things. And this can be incredibly frustrating, especially when you feel as if you've been making great strides. You're no contact, or you're thinking about it, or you've been no contact, or maybe you have finally gotten them to leave you alone and things finally seemed to be working in your favor, but now this has happened. But remember, you're still making great strides. Nothing has really changed in how far you've come. All you're doing is having some feelings about a really upsetting situation. And as hard as this can be to take in, and as unsatisfying as my answer to all of this really is, just because you saw them or you were forced to have an interaction, nothing has really changed in the situation. If you see them with someone else, you know as well as I do, they always have someone else. Is this the first someone else? No, it never has been. It never will be. You've just never seen this in person. Or have you? Did you ever go through their phone and find them talking to somebody else? There's the other person. Have you ever seen them on social media all snugly with their new person? Or maybe you heard through the grapevine there's a new person before you even saw them. You know already there's other people in your life. I get asked all the time, how do you get over the fact they're cheating on you? Because I've known it for so long. It hurt when I first found out about it. It was crushing. It crushed my spirit. But after I knew it was happening, sure, it still hurt, but the shock and that initial blow of everything happening kind of decreased a little bit. We already know. There's no reason to get all upset about seeing them with someone new. There's always someone new. We may have just not seen it with our own eyes, and therefore, nothing has changed. Asking yourself things like, what can I really do about this? What has changed? Is this really something that's new? Can kind of bring down those intrusive thoughts when you're ruminating. Ask yourself, really, what's different about the situation? The answer is probably always going to be nothing. If you'd like to talk one-on-one about what you're going through or what you've gone through in a toxic relationship, you can email BookAChatWithJess@gmail.com to set up private chats with me. I feel like these fears are because we don't have plans in place, which is what I just talked about a little bit, and I encourage you to use some of those tips, making plans and thinking about where you might see them and what you might do in those scenarios. Another issue here, and why I think seeing them is so startling and so upsetting, is because as well as we're doing, and you are doing well, give yourself some credit, but there's no closure. There's nothing at the end of the relationship. Sometimes it's over just as fast as it starts and it fizzles out. No closure from nothing. So let's talk about some ways to get closure from a relationship where the other person is not going to help you achieve this. Getting closure makes it easier to see them on social media or in person, or just helps you deal with getting over all of this. Know that firstly, you don't need their help. Stop thinking you need to have a conversation with someone like this to get your closure. Grieving, breaking a trauma bond, boosting your self-esteem, how to stop ruminating, all of that stuff can be done entirely without this person. And I know because I did it. That's how I know you can do all of this without any help. We don't find healing where we got hurt. Rewind that a little bit and listen to it. You don't find healing where you got hurt. Closure is acceptance. Acceptance is the end of the grieving process. Once you go through denial, shock, anger, sadness, everything, the very end is you accepting. Really, we have to kind of accept that we're still grieving. That's why we're sad and angry. And it is what it is. We cannot change how we feel. All we can do is control that reaction. And it's okay to feel. We have to accept that they are who they are, as shitty as it is, as toxic as it is. And we have to accept that they will never give us what we want, ever. A narcissist is not in the business of giving you what you want. That's not what they're here for. We're there to serve them, not the other way around. Get closure yourself by finding out what had you so hooked on them in the first place. What still has you hooked to them? Are you looking for love, validation, respect, happiness? These are all things that we need to find on our own and learn how to do for ourselves. Get closure by getting rid of them. Let me ask you, survivor, do you really want closure? Do you really? Because here's some of that harsh truth that I can't sugarcoat right now. Do you still have photos in your phone? Texts, voicemails, emails? Their personal belongings? Sorry, survivor, you can't tell me you want to move on when you won't let go. And that is no fault of the narcissist. You're hanging on to it, not them. You're stopping yourself from feeling better by hanging on to things you don't need to hang on to. To get closure, you need to tackle rumination, which I have already touched on. I also have a video about it. I will link that video in the description, and I'll give you the link at the end of the video, so stick around for that. To get closure, maybe you should start worrying about you, not them. Living their life. They're living their life. They're moving on with as shitty of a life as they have. It takes time to grieve and heal, of course, but never let yourself linger in the darkness of all of that for too long. You'll get oddly comfortable in this deep, dark, depressing place. We don't heal or grow in our comfort zone. You're going to have to start doing things you don't like, survivor. It's time to be an adult. Take responsibility, block them, go no contact, delete the bullshit, work on you, do something that makes you happy, step away from social media. These are things that need to be taken seriously. This is serious. This is a toxic, abusive person. Stop playing games, not with them, with yourself. Now, if the narcissist sees you, remember this can always prompt a Hoover, so be on the lookout for that. But this can be avoided when they're blocked, when they're deleted, when you have a new number, when you really decide you're done, when you are really ready and you decide that you're going to heal. You can stop a Hoover. You can be ready for that. If you aren't, be prepared for them to reach out and be prepared to delete that message without a word back to them. You don't need them. You can't find the healing where you got hurt. They have nothing new to say to you. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. They're tired. They've got nothing else that you need to hear that's actually true. Once you see them out somewhere, the first time is always the worst time, as I said earlier. And it's the most shocking, the most sad. And I think one of the many shitty things about this is stuff happens like that in our lives. And it's just going to make you feel like shit. And we can't avoid it. There are awful things that happen to all of us. And there's no victory in the end. There's nothing to justify it. There's nothing to make it okay. It's just not. And we can't get away from that. I'm not going to have a breakdown if I see the loser I dated at the car wash. I'm just not going to do it. But I'll think about him. And I'll have a moment. And I'll probably ponder the relationship for half a second. I just will. He was part of my life. I loved him. We shared things together. I thought we had something that very clearly we didn't. But that same shit would happen if I saw my old high school boyfriend, who I don't have a beef with, and he was never mean to me a day in the years that we were together. It's okay. I'll still go, that's something I'm going to think about for a second, and then I'm going to keep moving. Part of acceptance is knowing this, that some of this is not going to be erased. It can't and it won't, and there's nothing you can do about it. We've been wounded by this person, but we can heal that wound. It is 100% possible to completely heal the wound. Again, I've done it, but we have scars. We all do. We all will. But remember, scars make us who we are. When we're a little bit weathered and we've been through some shit, I actually think that makes us better, stronger, frankly, more interesting people. The bottom line here is there's nothing we can do about seeing them out in the world, but we can change our reaction and we can choose that it's not a big deal. It's sad, it sucks, it is what it is, and we can keep pressing forward because we're healing and we've made these decisions and there's no help that we need from this person. We can keep moving forward all by ourselves. Share your story of seeing the narcissist out in the wild after the breakup if you would like to do that. Like, share, subscribe, become a channel supporter, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, survivor, and take care of yourself.